Tiger Woods was the undisputed king of golf, idolized by millions for his achievements, charisma, and impeccable image. For 281 weeks, he held the title of the world's #1 golfer. He also made a name for himself with his sponsorship deals and charity work. Thanks to his lucrative sponsorship deals, he also became the first billion-dollar athlete. On the one hand, he was a devoted family man to his Swedish wife Ellen Nordegren and their young children Sam and Charlie. This perfect image was a meticulously crafted and carefully guarded corporate brand. On November 27, 2009, Woods was involved in a car accident near his home. Authorities at the scene reported that Woods was drifting in and out of consciousness for 6 minutes. There was no sign of alcohol, but according to his wife Nordegren, he had taken painkillers and sleeping pills. The detail that led to speculation was the golf club in Ellen Nordegren's hand during the incident. According to Woods and Nordegren, Ellen ran when she heard the crash and broke the car windows with the golf club to free her trapped husband. But the public was skeptical. The popular theory was that Ellen had learned of her husband's infidelities and chased him away with a golf club. Ellen denied these rumors. This accident soon unraveled a web of infidelity. First, an audio recording of Tiger's surfaced. In it, he asks a woman to delete his name from her phone, leaving only his number. He mentioned that his wife was suspicious of him. The recording exposed the cheating in Woods' own voice and was irrefutable evidence. After the audio was leaked, many women claimed to have had affairs with the golfer. The number of these women reportedly ranged from 18 to as many as 120. Among them was Rachel Ucatel, a New York nightclub manager. She initially denied the affair. However, it was later revealed that she had a multi-million-dollar confidentiality agreement with Woods. That's why she denied the affair. Woods' career was deeply shaken. He suffered a huge financial loss. Sponsorships and advertising deals were canceled. He stayed away from golf courses for a while. Tiger and Ellen divorced in 2010. Even when Woods returned to the course after a while, he was in decline. 3 months after the accident, Woods made a statement. He admitted that he had many affairs and cheated on his wife, and apologized to his wife and fans. However, these apologies did little to immediately repair the damage. In 2017, he underwent 4 back surgeries. Following this, his public image began to change. The pinnacle of his journey was his Masters victory in 2019. Not only had he achieved sporting success, but he had also won back the goodwill of the public. Although he achieved a great deal of popularity, he was never able to recapture the perfect image he had before the accident. Kevin Spacey was born in 1959 in South Orange, New Jersey. He first began to make a name for himself in the 1980s. In 1991, he achieved his first success, winning a Tony Award for his role in Lost in Yonkers. What really made him a global phenomenon was his breakout success in cinema. He won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his role in The Usual Suspects. Then he won the Best Actor Oscar for American Beauty. All this brought him to the top of Hollywood. He kept his personal life private. In 2010, he took his career to the top with the series House of Cards. But this brilliant career suddenly and completely collapsed in the fall of 2017 in the heat of the #MeToo movement. On October 29, 2017, actor Anthony Rapp gave an interview. He claimed that Kevin Spacey, then 26, had sexually abused him when he was just 14 years old. The story became global news. A few hours after the interview went viral, Spacey made a statement, but his statement was more of a disaster than an apology. Spacey's downfall was swift and decisive. After the statement, he was fired from the TV series House of Cards, and all his scenes in the movie All the Money in the World were deleted. Instead, the scenes were reshot with Christopher Plummer. These were actions aimed at erasing him professionally. The process that started with Rapp continued with allegations from many other men. There were allegations that he sexually harassed and assaulted many people. Over time, several of Spacey's accusers passed away. While no concrete evidence linked Spacey to these deaths, the coincidences fueled public suspicion. He was legally cleared of all charges, but his career never recovered. Hollywood turned its back on the once admired and cherished star and erased him from the industry altogether. Spacey's fall is a shocking example of how even the top names can be held accountable for their actions. Mel Gibson, born in New York City in 1956, was one of Hollywood's biggest action stars and one of its most respected Oscar-winning directors. He reached the pinnacle of his career by winning both the Best Director and Best Picture Oscars for Braveheart. He had cultivated an image as a devout, religious man with traditional values and a family man with 7 children. However, his career and reputation would be marred by several scandals. In 2006, Gibson exceeded the speed limit while driving and was stopped by the police. He was found to be intoxicated and arrested. During the arrest, he completely lost control and launched into an anti-Semitic and sexist tirade. After the incident, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department tried to cover it up, saying the arrest went smoothly. However, a tabloid website leaked the full, uncensored arrest report, revealing details the Sheriff's Department had seemingly tried to downplay. His hateful remarks sent shockwaves through Hollywood and around the world. Later, Gibson said in an interview that he was overwhelmed that night and that drunkenness made him do stupid things. The second blow to Gibson's image occurred in 2010. His ex-girlfriend, Russian singer Oksana Grigoreva, released some audio recordings. These recordings contained racist and misogynistic remarks that Gibson used against his ex-girlfriend. This invalidated Gibson's previous defense that his 2006 remarks were solely due to being drunk. These revelations completely destroyed Gibson's reputation in the public eye. The once most sought-after and beloved star was dropped from major projects, ceased to be represented by his own agency, and his name became synonymous not with his talent but with his uncontrolled rage and scandalous rhetoric. Hollywood had closed all its doors to him. Gibson's fall is one of the most shocking examples of how a moment of anger and outbursts can destroy a career built over years of hard work. O.J. Simpson, born in San Francisco in 1947, was one of the legendary players of American football. He became a household name all over the world. He had a flawless image. However, in 1994, his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman were tragically killed. On the night of the incident, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman were found brutally murdered outside Nicole's house. A neighbor discovered them lying on the floor covered in blood. O.J. Simpson was named as the prime suspect in the murders. When the police went to his lawyer's house to arrest Simpson, they learned that he had fled. Soon after, his other lawyer issued a press release. He read a letter from Simpson that many interpreted as a suicide note. After these statements, Simpson was officially a fugitive. At 7 p.m., police picked up Simpson's phone signals and began following him as he drove down the Los Angeles freeway in a white Ford Bronco. A live broadcast was launched as the incident unfolded. This escape turned into a media circus. About 95 million people watched the live broadcast. The trial process that followed was called the trial of the century. The following were presented in court as evidence of the murder: traces of blood, DNA evidence, hair and fiber samples, shoes and gloves. To counter this evidence, Simpson assembled the brightest, most expensive defense team in the legal world. The Dream Team recognized the power of the media and used it as a tool, reframing the case from a murder trial into a trial about race and police misconduct. In court, Simpson was asked to try on the gloves found at the crime scene, and they did not fit his hand. He had difficulty putting them on. The person who found the gloves at the scene was Detective Mark Foreman. The defense team found some audio recordings of Foreman. The recordings contained racist statements. This destroyed his credibility as a witness in court. On October 3, 1995, after less than 4 hours of deliberation, the jury found Simpson not guilty. After the acquittal, the families of Nicole, Brown, Simpson, and Ronald Goldman filed a civil lawsuit in which Simpson was found liable. He was ordered to pay millions of dollars in compensation to the families. The fact that Simpson was found not guilty in the criminal case, but liable in the civil case, raised questions about the legal system. On October 3, 2008, Simpson was sentenced to 33 years in prison for 12 different crimes. However, he spent only 9 years in prison. Afterwards, he was released on parole. All these events have dramatically demonstrated how a sports hero can suddenly turn into a public enemy and the complexity of the justice system. This leaves us with lingering questions. Could Simpson have really committed the murders? And what does this case reveal about the reliability of the justice system? Harvey Weinstein was one of Hollywood's most powerful and influential producers. Born in 1952 in New York City, Weinstein founded Miramax and then the Weinstein Company with his brother Bob. He was known as the Oscar whisperer in the industry. Harvey was known not only for his achievements, but also for his anger and bullying tactics. Before his scandals broke, his behavior was an open secret in the industry. Years of rumors and innuendo passed. But in October 2017, bombshell exposés were published in the New York Times and the New Yorker, detailing decades of sexual harassment allegations against him. The article talked about the sexual harassment of famous actresses and models by Weinstein. There were more than 80 incriminating statements, and many of the women had experienced similar things. Weinstein would call women to talk about their careers, leave them alone in a hotel room or office, and then engage in harassment and sexual assault. If women rejected him, he would threaten to end their careers, effectively blacklisting them from the industry. The abuses went on for almost 30 years. Many people were complicit in these crimes, but they kept it secret. They protected Weinstein. He made the women sign confidentiality agreements and silenced them. These accusations caused an earthquake in Hollywood and around the world. After victims bravely spoke out about years of systematic abuse, these revelations played a critical role in turning the #MeToo movement into a global conflagration, with women from around the world sharing their own stories of sexual harassment and assault. Weinstein's actions exposed the balance of power, sexism, and culture of impunity in Hollywood. Weinstein was fired from his company, expelled from the American Film Academy, and prosecuted multiple times. In 2020, he was found guilty of sexual violence and sexual assault in New York and sentenced to prison. The revelation that such a powerful figure systematically abused women for decades with the promise of a career has caused widespread disgust and anger around the world. Bill Cosby, born in Philadelphia in 1937, was one of America's most beloved comedians and television stars. He was known for his family-friendly humor and commitment to education. However, this perfect and successful image began to be shaken in 2014, when comedian Hannibal Buress revived allegations of sexual assault against Cosby in a stand-up show. The allegations actually began in the 1960s. Some women claimed that Cosby had assaulted them, but thanks to his enormous fame, these allegations gained little media traction and were largely ignored. In 2014, this development turned into a major scandal with the addition of allegations that had been going on for years. More than 60 previously silenced women bravely spoke out in public. Many of them shared similarities. He drugged his victims and then sexually assaulted them. The allegations often spanned a time period from the 1960s to the 2000s. Testifying in a 2005 trial, Cosby admitted to giving women tranquilizers and engaging in sexual intercourse. Cosby's beloved image was crumbling, and there was great public shock and disappointment. His reputation plummeted, projects were canceled, sponsorship deals ended. In 2015, a woman named Andrea Constand filed a criminal lawsuit against Cosby for allegedly sexually assaulting her in 2004. The first trial was inconclusive in 2017, when the jury could not reach a verdict. However, in a second retrial in 2018, Cosby was found guilty of 3 counts of sexual assault and sentenced to between 3 and 10 years in prison. This verdict was seen as an important victory for the #MeToo movement. However, in 2021, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his conviction, ordering his release due to a previous non-prosecution agreement. This decision caused great controversy. Despite all this, Cosby's wife Camille always stood by her husband and defended him. This scandal remains a painful example of how inadequate justice is against people of fame and power. Lance Armstrong, born in 1971 in Texas, was a professional cyclist. In 1996, when he was 25 years old, he developed cancer. His chances of survival were very low. Sometime after he started treatment, he made a remarkable recovery from cancer and returned to the sport. Armstrong founded the Livestrong Foundation in 1997. More than $500 million were raised to help. From 1999 to 2005, he won the Tour de France 7 times in a row, a great achievement. But behind Armstrong's extraordinary achievements lay one of the biggest doping scandals in sports history. Over the years, he has always denied the doping allegations against him. His inspirational cancer survival story acted as a shield, protecting him from scrutiny. Michele Ferrari, an Italian doctor, set up doping programs for Armstrong, and did so in a way that minimized the chances of getting caught. In return, Armstrong paid more than $1 million. He denied and threatened accusations made by teammates, doctors, and journalists. In 2010, Floyd Landis said that the team was systematically doping and that Armstrong was to blame. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency's comprehensive report, released in 2012, proved in detail that Armstrong systematically doped throughout his career and ran a doping program within the team. The report was full of witness testimony, financial records, and scientific evidence. After this evidence, Armstrong was banned from the sport for life and his 7 Tour de France titles were revoked. In 2013, in an interview with Oprah Winfrey, he admitted to doping. The athlete, who was seen as a hero, had deceived everyone, much to the disappointment of his fans. Armstrong's fall was not only a personal scandal, it also raised serious questions about the role of the sporting community, which had protected him for years and turned a blind eye to his actions. Milli Vanilli was a pop group that quickly entered the music scene in the late 1980s. This group consisted of Fab, Morvan, and Rob Pilatus. The band was formed by music producer Frank Farian. Farian promised them they would become multimillionaires. Rob and Fab signed a contract without fully understanding it. They found out later that they were not to use their own voices on the recordings. They had already accepted an advance and couldn't afford to pay it back, so they felt trapped. With their attractive looks, energetic dancing, and hit songs like Girl You Know It's True, they quickly became world famous. But Farian employed them all on a fixed salary and made all the income himself. Many in the industry knew that the songs were being played back and turned a blind eye to it. As their success grew, suspicions slowly began to arise. Although they used fluent American accents on the recordings, they spoke in broken English in interviews. On July 21, 1989, a technical malfunction occurred during a concert. The recording got stuck and started playing the same part over and over again. In a panic, Rob fled the stage. Despite all this, the audience couldn't understand the incident because lip-syncing was not uncommon at that time. Months later, the group's rapper Charles Shaw said Rob and Fab were imposters. Farian quickly intervened. He silenced Charles by giving him money. In 1990, they won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist and sold millions of albums. Rob and Fab pressured Farian to use their own voices on their second album. Farian chose to destroy them. On November 14, 1990, Farian confessed everything. He stated that he had fired the duo and that they had, in fact, never sung a single note on their records. Speaking in front of the press, a few days after the confession, Rob and Fab said they had no money and wanted to be stars. They attempted to sing one of their songs for the journalists, but the result was widely mocked. They started to be ridiculed. The Grammy Award was taken away from them. In 1993, they recorded an album under their own name and with their own voice, but it was a failure. Public opinion and the industry would not forgive them. From pop stars, they were branded as frauds. Rob Pilatus struggled with depression and drug addiction. He spent 3 months in prison for assault and robbery. In 1998, he died of an overdose. Fab also had difficulties in his life. He spent years trying to continue as a musician. Was it really all Rob and Fab's fault? Wasn't the industry to blame for putting them through all this? Hugh Grant was born in London in 1960. Grant gained international fame with productions such as 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, and Love Actually. But in 1995, at the height of his career, a scandal shattered his good boy image. On June 27, 1995, he was caught in a car with a 23-year-old sex worker in Los Angeles. He was constantly pressing the brake pedal with his foot, causing his brake lights to flash erratically. An officer, finding the car's behavior suspicious, investigated and caught Grant in a compromising position. Both Grant and the sex worker were arrested. He was later released on bail. He never served any jail time. At the time of the scandal, Grant's first major Hollywood movie, 9 Months, was only weeks away from release. At the time, Grant was also in a public 8-year relationship with model and actress Elizabeth Hurley. The incident caused a media sensation. While Grant served no jail time, the sex worker, a black woman, was sentenced to 180 days. The disparity in their sentences highlighted a stark injustice. Grant's mugshot, taken by the police, was published all over the world and became a subject of ridicule. Grant publicly apologized shortly after the incident and admitted his mistake. "I did a bad thing, and there you have it," he said. This honest attitude saved his career. Although he had difficulties for a while, over time he managed to overcome this scandal and continued his career. Hurley stood by Grant throughout the ordeal. The intense media attention surrounding the scandal also helped elevate her own profile, boosting her career. She became a household name in her own right. After the scandal, the couple continued their relationship for another 5 years, but broke up in 2000. Hugh's scandal also proved the consequences of feelings of loneliness and depression brought on by fame, and that it is possible to regain respectability after a scandal with honesty and time. Winona Ryder was born in Minnesota in 1971. She was twice nominated for an Oscar for her roles in films, such as Bram Stoker's Dracula, Age of Innocence, and Little Women. In 2001, she was at the top of Hollywood. But in late 2001, Ryder was caught shoplifting at Saks Fifth Avenue, a luxury department store in Beverly Hills. She pretended to be shopping in the store that day, but the store's security manager became suspicious of her behavior. The store's security manager assigned a guard to watch Ryder. She went into the changing room with the products and cut the labels with scissors. When she went to the checkout, she bought a leather jacket and 2 blouses, but hid the other items she had cut off in her bag. She was stopped by security guards on her way out of the store. The total cost of the items she tried to steal was $5,500. During the trial, the prosecution claimed to have some records. According to them, Ryder had been involved in such incidents before. However, this evidence was not allowed to be presented in court. On November 6, 2002, Ryder was found guilty of grand theft and vandalism but acquitted of commercial burglary. Although she received no prison sentence, she was ordered to serve 3 years of probation, 480 hours of community service, a fine, and psychological counseling. This theft has shocked Hollywood and the whole world. After this scandal, Ryder's career took a downturn. While some fans mocked her, other fans continued to defend her. Although she took a break from acting for a while, she gradually returned to her career. It was with her role in the TV series Stranger Things that she started to rise to the top again. Everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them and move on. And that's what she did. Kanye West, or The, was born in Atlanta in 1977. He became known as a Grammy-winning rapper, producer, and fashion designer. However, he made provocative statements throughout his career. He also made a name for himself with his sudden outbursts and scandalous behavior. His first major moment as a public provocateur came during a 2005 benefit concert for Hurricane Katrina victims. "I hate the way we're talked about in the media. If you see a black family, it says they're looting. If you see a white family, it says they're looking for food," he said, going off script. In 2009, at the MTV Video Music Awards, when Taylor Swift was receiving an award, West jumped on stage and said, "Taylor, I'm happy for you, but Beyoncé had one of the best videos of all time." He centered himself ostensibly to defend a black artist. More troubling were West's reported remarks admiring Hitler and the Nazis. There were also reports of this. In 2016, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He refused treatment and medication, claiming it would affect his career. In an interview in 2022, he stated that his bipolar diagnosis was misdiagnosed by a Jewish doctor and was actually autism. West organized a rally for his presidential campaign in 2020. During his speech, he revealed that he and his wife, Kim Kardashian, were considering abortion while pregnant with their daughter, North. This speech led to the end of their marriage. In 2022, his image and career were irrevocably shattered. In 2022, he wore a t-shirt with the words "White Lives Matter" printed on it to a fashion show. It was a planned political act. Afterwards, he made a series of anti-Semitic statements. Eventually, his Twitter account was suspended for incitement to violence. These comments were condemned worldwide and led to accusations of anti-Semitism. As a result of his actions, many major brands such as Adidas, Balenciaga, and Gap ended their collaborations with West. The financial fallout was devastating. This led to the loss of a multi-billion-dollar fortune and the collapse of his fashion empire. Sexual harassment and abuse lawsuits were also filed. Despite all this, he made an album, and all of the songs on it made it to the Hot 100. While some of his fans saw him as a visionary, others criticized him for his irresponsible and dangerous statements. His story is a reminder that talent alone is not enough, and that words and deeds can have great consequences. Will Smith, Born in Philadelphia in 1968, was one of Hollywood's most beloved and successful actors. His television career began with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and continued with films such as Bad Boys, Men in Black, Independence Day, Ali, The Pursuit of Happiness. He was at the top of Hollywood for many years. But an incident at the 94th Academy Awards ceremony in March 2022 shattered this perfect image in an instant. During the ceremony, host Chris Rock joked about Will Smith's wife Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head. The joke was actually aimed at a sensitive situation. Jada was unhappy and hurt by the situation. Will laughed at the joke at first, but then he noticed his wife's pained reaction. He got up from his seat and started walking towards the stage. When he reached the stage, he slapped Chris Rock. The sound of the slap echoed through the auditorium and the live broadcast. Millions were shocked, with many initially assuming it was a staged bit. It was only when Smith returned to his seat and shouted profanities at Rock that the reality of the situation set in. Everyone was in shock. His colleagues tried to calm Will down. An image carefully built over 30 years was shattered in a single moment. The slap was not the result of a joke, but of years of buildup. The couple's marriage had been problematic from the beginning. In 2023, Jada stated that they had been living apart since 2016. She also added that she was surprised that Will called her "my wife" at the Oscars, as they hadn't normally used that word in a long time. It wasn't the first time Rock had made fun of her that day. Similar behavior had happened before. After the incident, Smith apologized to the Academy, Chris Rock, and the public. However, the Academy decided to ban Smith from the Oscars for 10 years. He returned to his career with the 2024 movie Bad Boys, Ride or Die. Such an uncontrolled reaction from someone as beloved as Will Smith was a huge disappointment among his fans. It sparked a debate about how a moment of anger can shake an image built up over years and how far a person can go in the face of an insult to their spouse. R. Kelly, real name Robert Sylvester Kelly, was born in Chicago in 1967. He was recognized as one of the most successful R&B artists of the 1990s and 2000s. But this brilliant career was overshadowed by years of allegations of sexual abuse of minors, and human trafficking. On August 31, 1994, Kelly, then 27, entered into an illegal marriage with 15-year-old Aaliyah Houghton. He bribed government officials to issue a fake ID that Aaliyah was 18 years old. Aaliyah's family intervened and the marriage was annulled in 1995. It set the stage for what was to come. His fame gave him immunity. The first major scandal erupted in 2002 when an illicit recording of him with an underage girl surfaced. The girl in question was Kelly's 14-year-old goddaughter. This led to his trial on child pornography charges. Although he was acquitted by a jury in 2008, later proceedings revealed the truth. Kelly had paid the girl and her family for years to ensure their silence. The allegations and rumors about Kelly never ended. Over the years, many women have alleged that Kelly manipulated and sexually abused them. In particular, the documentary series Surviving R. Kelly, released in 2019, created a huge public wave by telling the victims' stories in detail. The series led to a new investigation. As a result, R. Kelly was found guilty of multiple crimes, including blackmail and human trafficking for sexual purposes. In a trial in 2021 and sentenced to 30 years in prison. In a separate trial in Chicago in 2022, he was sentenced to an additional 20 years on top of his previous sentence for child pornography and sexual exploitation of minors. Talent and image could not cover up a moral collapse. Justice has been served. Roseanne Barr was born in Salt Lake City in 1952. She was an American comedian, actress, and television producer. The series also earned Barr Emmy and Golden Globe Awards. Roseanne returned to screens with its original cast in 2018 and managed to achieve great ratings success. However, this comeback was short-lived due to a racist social media post made by Barr. In May 2018, Barr posted a racist tweet about Valerie wrote, an advisor to former President Barack Obama, saying, "Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes, baby." The tweet immediately sparked a huge backlash. The ABC network quickly issued a statement after the tweet, stating that Roseanne Barr's comments were disgusting, repugnant, and inconsistent with their values, and immediately canceled the hugely successful series. Barr apologized and deleted the tweet after a period of intense backlash. In June 2018, It was decided that the series Roseanne would continue under the name The Conners without Barr. Barr was outraged by this decision. The Roseanne Barr scandal demonstrated how sensitive the entertainment industry is to issues such as racism and discrimination, and that it will not tolerate such behavior. Armie Hammer, born in Santa Monica in 1986, was known for his roles in films such as Call Me by Your Name, The Social Network, and Death on the Nile. He was married to television personality Elizabeth Chambers, with whom he had 2 children, and hailed from a family with an enormous oil fortune. However, in early 2021, private messages allegedly belonging to Hammer were leaked on social media, containing disturbing sexual fantasies, BDSM, and cannibalism themes that would shake this image. Many famous women have also made allegations against Hammer. Allegations included non-consensual sexual acts, physical violence, and psychological pressure. The most serious accusation came from a woman known as Effie. She accused Hammer of a violent, hours-long sexual assault and that she feared for her life at the time. Hammer initially denied what had happened, but to no avail. His career quickly went downhill. He was dropped from projects, abandoned by his agencies. The prosecution decided not to prosecute Hammer, citing insufficient evidence. Nevertheless, Hammer's career took a huge blow with this scandal, and his future in Hollywood remains uncertain. This incident was one of the eerie examples of how dark allegations about celebrities' private lives can turn everything upside down in an instant. If you learned something new, or if you liked the video, don't forget to click the like button. Let me know what you think about the events I mentioned in the comments section. Subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Thanks again, and see you in the next video. Bye!